Hi golfers, Nick here from Untitled Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week in golf tips, I'm going to talk you through this beginner golfer who's never picked up a club, learning the stack and tilt golf swing over a period of 5 months. In this video, we're going to show you some shots of this golfer on the golf course for the first ever time. And now, thank you to my student Gene, who's allowed me to share his swing with you today, and he's a follower of the channel, so hopefully appreciates this video. And I just want to say amazing job he's done, not just here in the Bay but also outside of his lessons, working really hard each week in between. One of my hardest working students, definitely pays off. So in today's video we're going to talk through all the key things we've done over the past few months to take this golfer from a complete beginner to hitting it well on the golf course. A couple of clips here of Gene out on the golf course. Now, first of all, cast your mind back to your first ever game of golf. Now, for me it would have been when I was a kid. Probably don't really remember it, but I do remember struggling out on the golf course and struggling to make good contact. Now, this is Gene's first ever game. This is his first ever hole. These two swings that I'm going to show you here, we've got the side view, which is a nice little push draw. We've got the front view as well. This was from the same spot here. You can see that he's just playing a fairway with a 7-iron, and 7-iron is a club that we practice with a lot, but he's hitting these 7-irons here. Now the front view, not quite perfect contact, but close enough, and the side view, really good little push draw. Now, amazing to think that that's his first hole of golf, and just shows you the progress you can make if you work on your swing with the right coach in the right environment and work hard on your golf swing using the stack and tilt system. You can achieve some amazing results. We're going to take a look at Gene's swing first of all, right when he started. So bear in mind, Gene is a complete beginner, and he had some sort of idea of what to do, but as you can see from these videos, Gene was moving his body around a lot, and you can see from both viewpoints there, head was kind of raising up, so we got sway, no tilt. You can see the shots were very erratic, so it was very hard for him to make contact with the ball, and you can see on that shot that he hit there, he kind of shanked it off to the side, and you can see that he kind of turned his shoulders to level to the ground, lifted up his head and swayed his body. So we're going to first of all talk about where we start, okay? And that's really important here when you're learning a new golf swing or trying to change your swing. Where do you start? Now, in this first particular lesson, we focused mainly on kind of how to tilt and how to control the sway, and just really giving Gene an idea of what the function of the golf club is and what we have to try and do when we hit the ball. So as we all know, we're trying to hit the ball first, then the ground. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first of all, you have to tilt, and the reason we tilt in the swing, so tilt is how much the shoulders move on an angle from this viewpoint here. They actually tilt in the follow through as well. We mainly focused on the backswing, because the reason for that was because as Gene was turning his shoulders, he was kind of like pulling his left shoulder more across, and as he was doing that, he was kind of turning his shoulders to level to the ground. He was kind of lifting up his whole body, and that makes it really hard then to control where that club hits the ground. So lesson 1 was learning how to move the left shoulder down. So we did plenty of swings where I held his head, really just giving him an idea of what to try and do, and this really controlled his sway of his body. So as he goes back here, you can see from, I'm going to show you the swing here from both viewpoints. You can see that Gene was tilting his shoulders. You can see he was 17 degrees to start with, then we got to 36. Now in these swings here, we only started really with like a half swing, because when you're trying to make these changes, it's really hard sometimes to change completely when you do like full speed or full swing. So as you can see in the after swing here, much better kind of contact, over double the amount of tilt to the shoulders, kept his head more stable, stopped him from swaying. So on these positions here, we're just going up to about left arm parallel and then through, just trying to move through as he normally does. So Gene actually had really good movement through the ball right from day one, but the backswing was a huge problem, just made it so erratic to control that low point. So learning how to tilt definitely was the big starting point here for Gene. So if you're looking at your swing and your head doesn't stay stable from both viewpoints, you need to look at your tilt. You need to try and learn how that should feel. So putting your head against the wall, putting a club across your chest is another good way to practice, and just trying to make sure these shoulders point down towards the ball. Now, sometimes you can overdo that, but certainly for Gene, the feeling of moving that left shoulder down made such a big difference. And like I said there, we only started with a smaller swing because sometimes it's a lot harder to make a change when you're doing that at full power. So to start with, guys, in this particular lesson, we just looked at the tilt, and that helped him control the sway, and as a result helped him control that low point. The next step was to build this into the top of the backswing and make a full swing. So the next step was for Gene to try and build in some rotation. In the first lesson, we learned how to tilt and not sway. In this lesson, we worked on trying to keep his head stable, so tilt. So by holding his head, you can see here I've got that noodle placed on his head. That's getting to the feeling of keeping that head in position. This is really important, right? Basically, if you keep your head stable, you're going to tilt. You're going to tilt your shoulder from both viewpoints. Now, it's very easy to overdo this, move the head down, move it side to side. But the idea is that you've got to try and keep the head stable, and to do that, you have to move this left shoulder downwards. Most players don't do this enough. Now, occasionally you get someone that does it too much, but most players don't do it enough. And you just have to be careful as you're moving that shoulder down, you don't start to sway the head as well. So you have to make sure we keep the head stable. So I'm holding Gene's head, and this is getting him the feeling of turning and tilting at the top of the backswing. You can see that on the video here, he's got to 85 degrees of shoulder turn, 39 degrees of hip turn. So you can see that just starting to build this backswing. Now, the head's not perfect from that front view, but bear in mind where we were in the previous lesson. It's a huge difference. So now we're starting to control the head position, start to tilt and turn. Very important there to help the golfer create some power, right? We saw in lesson 1 that really we're just focusing on tilting and contact. Now we're trying to build in a longer backswing but keeping stable, and this is hugely important as you progress. So as you can see at the start here with Gene, we're really building the swing from the backswing. Okay, he had good moves in the finish. Now, sometimes with some golfers we work the other way around, we work on the finish position. This is why it's important that you find a stack and tilt instructor or a GOLFTEC coach to help you with a swing, because it's important to know where to start. Some players will start with the setup, some players will start with the finish position, some will start with the backswing. So in Gene's case here, we worked on these tilt and sway. Now we're building some turn into the backswing so he can create a little bit more power. For those of you that are aware of the stack and tilt system, you'll start to see some key things that we work on within the system. So you may have heard of the 10 words, which are weight forward. So basically keep your weight forward on the left at setup through the backswing and move your weight forward into the finish. The next 2 words are shoulder down in the backswing and in the follow through, so basically the tilt, learning how to tilt in the swing. That's important to hit the ground. So far we've talked about keeping the weight on the left and not swaying. We've talked about tilting. The next 2 words are what the hands do. And the best golfers move their hands around their body. Now, some may take them a little bit outwards at the beginning, but the best players in the world all find a way to drop the club into plane on the way down. And you can see here on the video, we've got 2 lines. We've got one on the shaft, one just above the elbow. So this is kind of like the swing plane, if you like. So for Gene here, we want that club to fit in between those lines as he swings down. It doesn't have to go between them going back, but it has to on the way down. The easiest way to do it is to move the hands inwards at the start, tilt the shoulder, turn. That helps bring your hands in and not lift the left arm above the shoulder plane. So when you look at Gene's swing here, you can see the difference between the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Now, we do have the noodle set up, and if you don't have any way to set this up, I know some of you will stick an alignment rod if you're at the range in between a basket into the grass if you're on a grass range. I've also got a noodle here on the ground just to simulate the club path, something that can give you some feedback. It's amazing that how using these makes such a big difference, just having something there. And a lot of the students that I work with use these training aids. We hit 10, 20 balls with a training aid, take it away, and then after about 4 or 5 swings, they're going back to what they did before. So you can't practice with these enough, and having something there just gives you that awareness in the corner of your eye there to make sure that the hands move in. So we've got keep the weight forward, move the shoulder down. Now we've got the hands moving inwards. Important to help you swing on plane and draw the ball. So in Gene's swing here, you can see a difference that in the original swing, when he's moving the left arm, the shaft slightly outwards in the downswing, it's also opening the face as well. Now when he keeps it on plane, he's keeping that face a bit more closed, and that's important as well. When you're swinging outside to in, you have to have the face open to hit the target, and when you swing inside out, you have to have it closed. So you can see that Gene, over a period of time, had started to swing out to in and started to have that face open. So this was an important lesson, really, just to make sure Gene's moving his hands inwards, mainly on the downswing, but also at the top of the swing. You can see a difference in that kind of left arm position. So as we work through the lessons here, we've got Gene keeping his weight forward, we've got him tilting his shoulder down, and we've got him moving his hands inwards around his body in the backswing, but also in the follow through. So far we've got Gene keeping the weight forward, moving the shoulder down, moving the hands inwards. This next lesson was all about keeping the arm straight. Now, when we talk about keeping the arm straight, if you take a look at Gene's original swing on the left-hand side from this lesson, his left arm was very straight at the top of the backswing. However, as he came into impact, his elbow was starting to pull apart. And why this is important is that just before impact, this left arm bends and the shaft overtakes the left forearm. That makes it hard to control that low point. When you look at the best players, they have the handle forward as they hit through. Now, when you pull these elbows apart, it can be harder to control this handle position. So using the ball in this lesson, so you may have seen these videos before, there's a Tour Striker Smart Ball. This is just the ball that we use here in the bay. Squeezing the elbows, if you can't get anything like this, just squeezing the elbows together is a good way for you to practice, and it can help with your wrist bends, and it can help you keep the handle forward as it did for Gene here. So this is important for controlling the low point. So by having a ball between your arms, it's really hard at first to make a full swing, but with practice, if you start with some smaller swings and kind of build up here, but Gene managed to do a pretty good job actually. You can see that after swing there, it was almost pretty much a full swing. A bit shorter going back, but as he went through, almost a full swing. Now, not easy to do, but if you can, with a ball, without a ball, really squeeze your arms together, helps you control your wrist bends, helps you keep the handle forward at impact. So this was a really key lesson, not only just to help with the strike on the club face, but more importantly, control that low point. Like I said, if you can squeeze these elbows, really helps you keep that hand forward as you hit the golf ball to get that low point in front. So weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, arms straight. Amazing progress here from Gene. Hopefully these tips are going to help you guys out there improve your golf swing and also give you some awareness of some of the things that you do to hopefully make those changes as you move forward. Now we're up to most recent lesson now, and you can see on the right hand side here, still holding his head. So still something that we work on. It's still something Gene practices, comes in the bay here once, twice a week, sometimes 3 times in the week to work on his swing. And he uses the noodles here that we have set up in the bay to control his head position. As you can see, I'm holding his head in this video. Now, in this one, we're talking about the finish position. So we're working on the final part of the stack and tilt swing, which is to kind of tuck your hips under the shoulders. So we've got weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, arms straight. Now we're tucking the hips forward or pushing the hips forward. So you can see in this particular drill with Gene, first of all, what's set up here, actually you can see a difference because the swing's evolved over time, and you can see that from when he started, the weight was kind of more back, the handle was more back. Now he's got the weight slightly more on the left with the hands forward. And in this particular lesson, we're just stopping just past right arm parallel in the finish, and we're just basically trying to put all these pieces together and trying to move his hips forward and tuck his hips under the shoulder. So I think he does a really good job here. It helps him move his weight forward, helps him swing the club on plane. To summarize, golfers, basically, if you stick to the 10 words of the stack and tilt golf swing, you can't really go wrong. Now, we worked on certain drills there, gave you some insights into the things that we did in the lesson. Obviously, in between these lessons, we worked on different aspects of his game, pitching, chipping, forwards, hybrids, and driver. But I just wanted to share with you the main things that we worked on in his golf swing, just covering kind of those 10 words and just give you some pointers there. And hopefully that gives you some idea when you're working on your golf swing. I know a lot of people that watch my videos, film their swing, they send me their videos online via SKILLEST to help them with their golf. It's something that you can kind of use as a benchmark when you're working on your swing. I highly suggest that you video your golf swing, whether it's in practice or out on the golf course, just to see what you do. It's interesting actually, when I video the golf swing in the bay and on the course, sometimes they can be different. Sometimes golfers do struggle a little bit more on the course. There's more things going on. The lie is different, there might be different slopes or a target to aim for. Where you're in the bay, it's much easier then to focus on technique. So it's important to see what you do on the course. That does help you with analysing your contact as well. So hopefully that video helps, guys, and I do strongly recommend that you looking to improve, to find your local GOLFTEC or to find a stack and tilt instructor online or in person to really help you improve. Thanks for watching, golfers. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Any comments, post them in the box below, and I'll see you again next week for another video. The most